What's up, all my YouTubers? First of all, I just want to thank everyone who has taken a minute to like and subscribe my videos and comment. Like I said, I try to get back with you guys. I love the dialogue. And I was just sitting here this morning thinking about Monifa and her story and the whole Irene interview with Zach TV. So let's just make a quick video. I won't take up too much of your time on what they're actually asking us to believe. So what I'm getting ready to walk through would be, you have to imagine with me, Keneeka is walking towards the freezer. This is what they're asking us or telling us to believe. So she's walking to the freezer. Just pretend like we're walking to the freezer. There will be a video camera up there that doesn't work. Okay, great. So she gets here, and you guys have to imagine that this is the freezer door. Now remember, when we see Keneeka, the hotel manager, find the body, when he gets right here to this when he gets right here to this freezer door, you can see his shadow on this wall right here. Same way you see my shadow, you can see his movement as he is approaching this freezer door. But when Keneeka walks this way, it's almost like she walks past the freezer, because you don't see her shadow. You don't see her body movements on this wall where she would have been standing trying to get this door open, moving around or anything like that. The same way my camera is picking up my shadow moving is the same way we would have picked up her shadow, the same way we picked up the manager's shadow when he entered that area and tried to open that door. So imagine she's right here. So now she has to open this door, this big freezer door. She's supposed to be drunk and high. Now they're telling us that she opened this door, struggled to get it open, and then, although this cooler was turned on, this freezer was turned on, and it's dark, just imagine it's dark out here. They're telling us she stepped inside, and this door, the one I just stepped in, it slammed behind her. Like so. So normally, if that happened, you would turn around, right? You would turn around. This knob here would be big, yellow, and illuminated, and she would struggle to get that door open. But that's not what happened. They're telling us that the door closed behind her, and she turned this way and struggled to open another door, and then walked into this cooler where she passed away, and then this door slammed behind her. Now she's in the dark. Can't figure out where the doorknob is or anything. But anyone who's ever been in the dark like I am now knows that after you're in the dark for a few minutes, your eyes kind of adjust. But one thing I want you guys to notice, well, you can't see it from here, but I was trying to show you guys that at the bottom, you can see a little bit of light coming from the bottom of the door. Maybe hard to pick up on video, but that in and of itself would be enough to lead her back to where the door is. And if not that, then of course the big illuminating button on the door that would let her out. So she was never able to get out of that predicament. So let's go into the elevator area and see what Monifa and Irene are telling us what happened. 1 second. So here's my front door. So just pretend like at this point already Monifa and Maya have picked up Keneeka, and they have left the party, and they're walking towards the elevator. The three of them walking like so, talking, doing whatever girls would do as they're walking. But they're so concerned that she's drunk that they made it a point to pick her up and take her home, even though they don't have her phone. So they get to this elevator here, and they said, oh, you know what? We forgot the keys and the cell phone. So somehow the two of them turn back and they leave Keneeka in this area, right? They leave Keneeka over here and they walk all the way back down this hallway, like so. Keneeka's not with them, but they don't realize it. Walk all the way back down this hallway. They get to the door and they say, oh, you know what? We don't have a door key, so guess what we have to do? We have to knock. Doom, 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 doom. And they're gonna wait probably 2 or 3 seconds for someone to open the door, like this. Okay, so when they get back in the room, everyone's sitting around the edge of the bed, dancing and singing and acting like kids do. And although Irene and her sister was so concerned about Keneeka that Keneeka had to lay on the bed and take some time, and everyone really didn't want Monifa to take her away, none of these people realized that Maya and Monifa had come back in the room and they didn't bring poor Keneeka. But do they ask about Keneeka? No, they don't ask about Keneeka. So Maya and Monifa fiddle around and they finally speak to Irene and they get the cell phone and they get the keys and they go back out only to discover that Keneeka is no longer at the elevator. So let's see what they're telling us happens next. So now while they're fiddling around on the bed, they figure out that Keneeka's not with them. Like I said, they have to go back out and see. They say, oh, you know what? Why don't you and Maya, you guys go look for her. We're just gonna sit on the bed and not help you guys. Does that make sense to anyone that everyone knew Keneeka was drunk? Everyone knew that she was so high and inebriated that they had to take her out the party. But when they come back without her, when Maya and Monifa come back without her and they announce that she's missing, they blow it off like, oh, she's missing? Well, go find her. Does that make sense to anyone? I'm going to tell you one other thing. And I know you guys like my little junior police officer sticker. It's fake, you guys. It's not real for anyone out there that gets too upset about it. It's just something to be funny. But anyway, back to our story. Here's the reason that I say, and I want you guys to think with me, that Monifa and Maya never took Keneeka out of that room for the purposes of leaving. Because if you looked at Irene's interview like I have so many times, you'll hear Irene start to like rush through the part of the story where Keneeka leaves. She doesn't give you a lot of details. She seems unsure about what she should actually say. So what she does say is that Maya, not Monifa, Maya came to her and she asked, Irene asked, are y'all about to leave? And Maya says yes. And although Irene knows that she's using Keneeka's cell phone to play the music in the party, she doesn't stop the cell phone and give it to Maya. She just allows Maya and Monifa to do whatever they're doing and go ahead and leave the room, which is very strange. Sorry about that, you guys. Junebug was about to come in the room and I had to stop the video for a second. But as I was saying before I was so rudely interrupted, Irene, for some reason, she didn't give them the phone when she thought, according to her own story, that they were leaving. It was only after they left, went out into the elevator or in the hallway or wherever they went, and came back and said they needed the phone and the keys, that Irene actually stopped the music and unplugged the Bluetooth speaker that Keneeka then bought with them to the party. All that stuff she didn't give them when she said they were originally leaving. Don't you guys find that strange, or do you guys find that strange? Normally when people are leaving a party, there's some type of goodbye or some type of hug or some type of handshake, or maybe you walk them to the elevator yourself, or you go out in the hallway with them, and you say something. You don't just normally walk from one side of the room to the other side of the room and pick up a friend that's passed out on the bed and just walk out the door. But you know why they probably didn't turn off the music? What would make sense? If you stop that music, everybody in the party is going to do what? They're going to look over there, and it's going to draw attention to whatever you're doing. Now, I know they say they only had one room and the room was small, and you're thinking they probably would have known that she was leaving anyway. But I ask you this. Well, first of all, I think they already have proven that there was more than one room booked on that same credit card, but that's another story. But I leave you with this and say, if you are having a hotel party and you're using a stolen credit card, which means you're not paying for it anyway, would you really settle for just one room? Just a little small, $100 room, $75 room, whatever the case may have been? Or would you go big time? It's a hotel party. It's a birthday. It's 30 people in there. Do you really think 30 people are sitting around on a bed, standing up against the wall, in a really small room with no place to go from 11 all the way up to 4 in the morning? Everybody's just hanging out in the room? Because we know at one point when the security guard came, he found 2 people standing outside the door. And this is normally what teenagers do. They run in and out. Have some kids over at your house and see, don't you have to tell them to stop running in and out? Because that's what they're going to do. They're going to be running in and out. They're going to be hot, and they're going to dance, and it's hot in here. We got to go out and get some air. They're going to be running in and out of that room, and it's going to be doors slamming, opening and closing for the whole time that they're there. And who rents a room and then just leaves? That shows you that they don't care about how much money they spent. Because I know if I spend my $125 for a hotel room, I'm sleeping in there. I'm not going to rent a room and leave and let some other guys that sharing the room with me have the room for the rest of the night. And then who goes to a party and just smokes and drinks and listens to music? What kind of party is that? Now, I haven't been what's wrong with my P's? I haven't been partying for a long time. But I can tell you this, when we did party, we didn't sit on no bed and stand around up against the wall and dance with people that we knew. We would go to a party with people that we didn't know. Maybe there were going to be some people there to meet or something along those lines. But who goes to a hotel party with a whole bunch of friends and everyone knows each other? We already know that isn't true. But anyway, my point is, these girls are not telling us the whole truth. And that's the reason we can't get anywhere with this story, because they consistently change their story. There was a report yesterday where the police officer, that main investigator, had to question someone twice, and that person changed their story. They said, oh, I thought so-and-so was at the party, but I must have been mistaken. They weren't actually at the party. And I thought all y'all knew each other. All y'all know each other. How you think Jimbo is there, and then you say, oh, you know what? Jimbo actually wasn't there. I must have made a mistake. So just little things like that are crazy. So we've already been over the narrative about how Keneeka actually walked into the freezer. And I already showed you why that has holes all in it as far as I'm concerned. But when you look at the whole story, something just isn't right. This is why we can't accept the fact that, the camera that we need to see just doesn't work. The story of Monifa has changed. Miss Teresa said Monifa and Maya, whoever gave her the initial report, said they left Keneeka in the lobby. Then later on that night, they said they left her up in the hallway up by the room. So it can't be both. You know, these stories are not true. And you know, you see no emotion, as far as I'm concerned, from Monifa and from Maya. Like, who goes, first of all, who goes to visit a grave at night? Who goes to a graveyard at night? I don't. And then what's so funny? You know, they joking, going to the funeral, they laughing and singing at the funeral. That whole little I miss you video that Maya made, she didn't cry one tear. Not one tear. Now I can tell you one thing, if I went to a hotel party with my friends and one of them came up missing and dead in a freezer, then I would be afraid, number one, for my life, because I would realize that that could have happened to me or it could have happened to any of my friends. So I would be nervous already. I wouldn't be dancing and singing and laughing and going to other hotel parties and staying on live and all those kind of things. So these kids and their behavior is very strange. That's what I can say about that. But, you know, I don't believe that we're being told the whole truth. Hold on one second. I want to talk about Irene for just a second, because Irene is a very interesting individual. These people are almost like Jekyll and Hyde. One minute you see them acting calm, and the next minute I see Irene on the video acting like she's done gone crazy. Acting, you know, threatening people and wanting to fight people and threatening people and talk about people that she done beat up and stuff like that. That's a totally different Irene than we saw sitting on Zach's couch, you know, or whoever's couch it was, talking about what she thought happened. And really, Irene didn't give you any information. All she did was pretty much clear her own name. That's what I got from her interview, because every time you try to get some real information from Irene, the story just got more and more muddy. The only thing Irene wanted you to know from that video was that she never left the room. That's what Irene said. She wanted you to know that she was in that room the whole time. You saw her on live, and she's telling you that she never left the room. She came to the room, she came to the party, and she left the party. And then she looked for Keneeka the following day. Like, how helpful is that going to be? If they haven't found Keneeka, you know, from the time you left at 4 in the morning till, you know, 10, 11 o'clock the next day, you know Keneeka is in some bad shape. Like, there's no place in that hotel room, I mean that hotel itself, that she could have been that would be okay for her to be there 8, 9 hours, passed out on the floor or whatever the case may be, or in someone else's room. But I want to go over one other thing. Hold on one second.